Chapter 24. I'm in Tia's arms being carried across a bridge. I picture the High Priest's archaeological map of Akhenaten to get my bearings. We're crossing the royal bridge. Tia and I have left the king's house on the eastern side of the bridge and are headed for the great palace, which can be entered from it. The roof of the royal bridge is held up by thin pillars set far apart on the parapets. I'm facing Tia's ample breasts, but if I turn my head, I can see over the parapets down to the royal road. It's the widest road I've ever seen, more than 100 feet. In my pharaoh's time, there'd be nothing to match it. To the north, it stretches as far as the eye can see. To the south, it stops past the king's house by the small Aten temple. The view from the bridge is breathtaking. Palaces, temples, villas, all gleaming in the sunlight. So too the twin towers of the pylons, gateways to the temples and the palaces. Anchored to each tower is a pair of wooden flagpoles reaching from the base to well above the top. The flagpoles have always been my favorite sight. They make me think of giant sentinels, always standing at attention, never able to leave their post. The flags are drooping till a northerly wind suddenly makes the material flap and flutter like the mighty wings of the vulture, the bird form taken by the goddess Nekhbet, protector of Upper Egypt. I enjoyed the protection those wings promised during my year at court with my pharaoh. How I miss it now. And how I miss Egypt's never-ending beauty and natural treasures. The clear blue daytime sky where the sun reigns supreme, the night sky where millions of stars shine like bright eyes, the recurring miracle of the Nile inundation. In losing my pharaoh and then Egypt herself, I twice lost paradise. "Oh, you are a hefty cat," Tia says. "There has to be a better way to carry you." She turns me around. I now face the far side of the royal bridge and catch glimpses of the open interior of the great palace, a complex of houses and courts. One large court is lined with colossal statues of the king and queen, but Nefertiti in life is far more majestic than her gigantic sculpted image. I feel myself slipping from Tia's arms. "I almost dropped you," she says, stopping. She lifts me back up and turns me around again, this time gripping me tighter. "That's better." Now my face is stuck between Tia's breasts, and I can't see. But I'm still aware of her progress. When I'm bounced, she's moving in a straight line. When I'm jolted, she's going up or down steps. And when I'm bumped by one of her breasts, she's turning a corner. And when I hear her being saluted by strong, manly voices, she's going through a guarded gate. Music is being played somewhere in the great palace, and with each of Tia's steps, we get closer to it. A few moments later, she stops and loosens her tight grip on me. I raise my face from between her breasts, look around, and literally face the music. It's coming from a group of girls. They're under a columned portico that faces an open court with a sunken garden in the middle. 3 of them are musicians. One is playing a large lute, another a double oboe, and the last a tambourine. 3 other girls are clapping in rhythm. 2 more are dancing around the columns. "Lady Tia! Lady Tia!" cry the clappers and the dancers, stopping as the musicians keep on playing. In an instant, they encircle her. They're in their teens, but old enough to wear wigs. And such pretty wigs they are, adorned with faience beads and colorful ribbons. Their expensive jewelry leaves no doubt they're the daughters of noble families or high officials. Because of their lofty parentage, they have the privilege of living at court. The 2 dancers look like sisters. They wear only a thong and are panting. Their pyramid-shaped breasts are at the level of my eyes, advancing and retreating. The 3 girls who are clapping resemble neither the dancers nor one another. One is thin, one quite plump, the other a mixture of the first 2, thin on top, large at the bottom, what Elena would call pear-shaped. All 3 wear the same sleeveless tunic-like dress of transparent linen. Their bodies are less exposed than the dancers, but only slightly. All 5 girls talk at the same time. "I'm so happy to see you, Lady Tia. Come and sit with me. Have something to eat with us." "Quiet down, girls," Tia says, and to the musicians who are still playing, "Take a break now." They quickly obey, leaving the portico. "I have some good gossip to relate," Tia announces. The girls draw closer to her, like iron to a magnet. "But first, Nofret and Tetisheri," Tia says to the dancers, "get dressed. Look at you, sweaty from dancing. You'll catch a death." "Go on, Tetisheri," says Nofret, nudging her. "Get the gowns." Why do I always have to fetch things? Because you're the youngest here and you need to learn obedience. Nofret is a bully, but Tetisheri is a mule. In the end, it's Nofret who fetches their gowns from the floor by the stools. What's the cat's name, Lady Tia? The thin clapper asks, petting me on the head. His name is Tati, my dear Werrell. He's fat, the pear-shaped clapper says. I bet he eats a lot. Well, I never. I assume he does, my dear Rionette. That reminds me, he needs to be fed. He could skip a meal or two if you ask me, the plump clapper says. No one asked you. Look who's talking, says Werrell. You, Haket, could skip a meal or 2 or 3. Haket replies by sticking her tongue out. Then she starts to pet me, but her touch is too rough for my liking. I free myself from Tia's strong hold, jump down, and go into the sunken garden. Some of the girls want to chase me, but Tia stops them. Leave the poor beast alone. You've overwhelmed him. In the garden, hidden by the foliage, I can finally do what I've wanted to do since I woke up. Pee and pee to my heart's content. When I finish, I race back, afraid to miss anything. Everyone is sitting on a stool now, the girls in a semicircle facing Tia. Near the stools are small stands with baskets full of delicacies. I take a roasted goose leg and sit on the floor. The goose leg is even more delicious than I imagined it would be. I'm close enough to hear what's being said, but far enough to be safe from Haket's rough touch. Be quiet, says Tia, giving the girls a stern look. Don't interrupt as you usually do. Now, you know my sweetheart works in sculptor Tutmos's workshop? All 5 girls nod. Well, Tutmos is an insufferable pain in the butt. He pushes his workers around and never appreciates their efforts, not even my sweetheart's. He's like that cow, our writing teacher, Werrell says. She never gives us her approval, no matter how well we do. You should hear how she reprimands us if we're 5 minutes late for a lesson, Haket says. A dirty look from Tia stops the others from adding their own opinions of the writing teacher. Where was I? She asks. You were telling us Tutmos doesn't appreciate his workers, Nofret says. Yes, Tia says, slapping her forehead. Well, Tutmos sculpted a limestone bust of the queen. Yesterday it was delivered to her, and she told me it was the best work the man had ever done. But then I told her how badly he treated his workers, and she decided to teach him a lesson. What did the queen do? Tetisheri asks excitedly. Shh, Nofret says. Let Tia speak. The queen asked me to have my sweetheart come over and remove an eye from the bust. What? The girls cry out in unison. Forgetting myself, I chime in. No one notices, but realizing how close I came to giving myself away, I almost choke on a morsel of roasted goose. At the queen's instruction, Tia continues, my sweetheart removed the eye very carefully, then all traces of glue to make it look as if the eye had never been put in. But why? The girls cry out. My question too, but I keep it to myself. To humiliate Tutmos the way he humiliates his workers, of course, Tia replies. Indeed, that's what Nefertiti meant when she said it was time to teach him a lesson. Tia tells the girls what happened this morning in the reception room. She stresses how Tutmos sweated and how dumbfounded he looked. The girls responded with oohs, ahs, and laughter. But I'm quite somber. The look Tutmos gave me wasn't one of frustration, but of murderous intent. To console myself, I walk over to the baskets of food, help myself to a pastry, and gulp it down before returning to my spot. I would have given my new wig to have been there to see it all, Werrell says. Me too, the others say in unison. It is the queen's intention, Tia says, to let some time go by before the eye is found, as it were. Oh, the queen is so good, Rionette says. So good, the rest chime in. Indeed she is. But how is that thousands of years later the left eye is still missing? I must be going now, girls, Tia says. I'll come back later to pick up Tati. When she leaves, the girls discuss which game to play. Let's play hide and seek, Tetisheri says. We haven't played that in a long time. Hide and seek it is, Werrell says, putting off any other suggestion. I used to play hide and seek with my pharaoh. It was easy for me to find him because of his distinctive odor, fresh lotus blossoms. But I'm not going to be it, Tetisheri insists. We'll do it by process of elimination. Gather around. Werrell points first at herself, then Rionette, Heket, Nofret, and Tetisheri as she chants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blow a whistle if you're a cow. The last word falls on Heket. She's out. Werrell counts again, and she's the next one out. Rhaonet takes over, and she's out. It's Nofret's turn next, and she's also eliminated. Cheats! Cheats! Tetisheri yells. You're all cheats! If it'll make you shut up, Nofret says to her sister, I'll be it. She walks to the back of the portico, and the other girls follow. I'll sing Tonight My Love Will Come, she tells them, while you go and hide. She faces the wall, puts her forearm up, and leans forward, covering her eyes. At the first word of the song, the girls take off. Werrell and Rhaonet run into the garden and disappear, one to the left, one to the right. Tetisheri seems not to know where to go, then also heads for the garden. She hides behind a plank of wood set against the right wall, most likely part of some work in progress. Heket enters the doorway in the middle of the wall Nofret is leaning against. Dying of thirst, I help myself to the pomegranate juice left by one of the girls. It turns out to be wine, but that doesn't stop me from drinking all of it. And his kisses will tell if his love is true, Nofret sings, ending her song. Ready or not, here I come, she yells, leaving the wall and running into the garden. I begin to feel warm from the wine and long for a cooler place. I go through the same doorway as Heket, find myself in a pillared cross hall, and walk along a pathway, trampling on Egypt's enemies as I did in the king's house. On either side of the pathway, just as in the king's house, lies a painted marsh. But here, each marsh has a pool in the middle. Fish and ducks are swimming lazily around blue and pink lotuses. Putting my forepaws in water will cool me off, and, who knows, I might catch a fish while I'm at it. I step off the pathway and quickly cross one of the marshes to the pool. I lean over the edge and put my forepaws in the water. Oops! The pool is just another piece of painted floor. But the ripples in the water? I walk out onto the pool to have a closer look. Just zigzags of white paint. Was it artistic skill or the effects of wine that fooled me? Both? In any event, treading on the pool has made me feel cooler. Heading back to the pathway, I cross the marsh again, slowly this time, so I can appreciate its artistic wonders. Birds, dragonflies, and butterflies are flying about. The occasional calf leaps through the thick vegetation. Tall stalks of papyrus are swaying in the wind. Is that a breeze I feel on my face? Rising from the marsh along each length of the pool is a row of 4 stone columns. I look up. The shafts are covered with fluted emerald green faience tiles. They look like giant flower stalks. Each capital is carved in the shape of a blooming lotus and painted in natural colors with touches of gold in the grooves. These enormous flowers reach the sky, a lapis blue ceiling with a variety of birds flying in all directions. I'm brought out of my trance by Nofret's distant voice. Where are you, girls? I'm going to get you! From ahead comes stifled laughter. Heket's? The pathway with Egypt's enemies leads toward the source of the laughter. I get back on it, and it takes me into a square hall, also with columns. The pathway is crossed by another, dividing the hall into 4 parts, each with 2 rows of 2 columns. The floor in each part has a painted pool just like those in the cross hall. I stop at the intersection of the pathways and sniff the air for traces of Heket, but all I smell is the wine on my breath and the various perfumes from the girls' hands. Directly in front of me, set in the back wall at the end of the pathway, is a dais with a throne. I'm drowsy from the wine and consider going over to lie on it. I don't think Nefertiti would mind. But again I hear stifled laughter. This time it's coming from my left. I turn onto the pathway leading to it and walk through an entrance to another pillared hall. The columns are decorated to look like palm trees. The floor, as in the other halls, is covered with painted pools and marshes. I see a lion attacking a calf. So much for idyllic nature. Someone springs at me from behind a column and scoops me up in her arms. Heket. She's hot, sweaty, and giggling. Now where is that chest? She says, tightening her grip as she carries me down the corridor just outside the hall and into a small room with 2 big chests. She raises the lid on one of them. There's clothing in it. Is this a robing room for the royals? Before I realize what she intends to do, Heket climbs into the chest, taking me with her, and pulls the lid down. Her heart is beating fast and loud. I don't like enclosed spaces. I especially don't like this one, sharing it as I am with an excitable girl who's holding me tightly. When I get accustomed to the darkness, I see Hakett's eyes. Behind her is another pair of eyes, much smaller and staring coldly. I'd like to be mistaken, but they're the beady eyes of a mouse. I'm one of those rare cats who's afraid of mice. It's a fear I share with humans, especially females, and what happens next can only be described as hysteria. I cry out, the mouse squeaks, and Hackett screams at the top of her lungs. I struggle to free myself from her grip. She lets go, then pushes the lid up and jumps out of the chest. I'd follow, but I'm entangled in some of the clothing. The lid comes down. I try to push it back up, but it's too heavy. I hear Hackett's screams getting fainter and fainter. The mouse and I stare at each other for a long, long time. Then he suddenly disappears. I crawl over, push aside the clothing, and see a hole in the side of the chest. A hole big enough for a mouse, but not a cat. I put my mouth to the hole and meow loudly. Someone is bound to hear me and come to my rescue.